Welcome back to the Vandy Sports Podcast. I'm Joey Dwyer. He's Billy Derrick. We're here from Memorial Gymnasium after Vanderbilt escaped Central Arkansas 75-71. Vanderbilt let Central Arkansas back in the game, but Vanderbilt finds a way to win. And in Jerry Stackhouse's words, that's the most important part. The most important part of our show is our ad read. Our show is presented by the Wash House, which is also our presenting sponsor for basketball season. They allow us to do this. Are you dreading laundry day, Billy?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Is it stealing time to do the things you truly enjoy? I'm going to answer that for you. Absolutely. With two convenient locations in the greater Nashville area, just drop off your dirty laundry, and our professional attendants can give you back the one thing you can never have enough of, your time. Within 24 hours, you can pick up your nicely folded, fresh, and clean laundry, ready to be put away. Check out www.washhouseclean.com to stop in today and get your time back. Well, Vanderbilt didn't increase its margin of victory and let Central Arkansas, the 12th-ranked team in the ASUN without its best player, stay in the game. Not a great night for Vanderbilt, but I guess the most important thing is that it got the win. There's something to be said for learning how to win and winning in the big moments, but also it leaves a lot of concerns. We leave tonight with a lot of concerns. Billy, thoughts on this one?
Next question, Joe.
Billy, what did you think of this one?
Honestly, Joey, also you guys will find out what that's about in the presser. But no, good start, Joey. I thought, they were able to beat Central Arkansas off the dribble pretty consistently, and it looked like that was going to be their plan tonight. Basically, whether it's isolate or because they were switching, right? I mean, most of the night, especially early on, and we were kind of confused why. Vanderbilt beat them off the dribble, and they had a good start, hot start for Colin Smith. I was really impressed by Ezra Manjon and Evan Taylor in the first half. Ezra's pull-up game, it wasn't super consistent. He didn't take a ton of them, but he hit them when he got the chance. Evan Taylor started to kind of come into his own. All of this is in the first half, though. So a lot of it kind of slowed down late in the first half. Stack said they got, sticky? The ball just wasn't moving around as much. Isaiah West, though, he showed some flashes. He had an electric dunk early in the first half or second half, I think. It kind of landed awkwardly. Stack said he was nervous about that. I think West is fine, but the big story is that Ezra Manjon is healthy. He's fine. He was hurt early in the second half, and I had a question ready for Stack. How's he doing? But before the game even ended, about midway through the second half, Manjon comes walking out, huge applause from the crowd, and he ends up going to the game, immediately scores. So obviously that tells you how important Ezra Manjon is to this team. Paul Lewis had a big shot with about 12 minutes left in the second half. There were a lot of big shots in this game that kind of kept Vanderbilt going, kept them alive. Jason Rivera-Torres hit one right after. I thought that was a big sequence. Isaiah West had a big three with about 8.5 to play. Huge three by Evan Taylor. So they kept hitting those big shots when they really needed them. And so they shot the ball well overall. I don't remember what the stats were, Joey, but, I thought overall they shot the ball pretty well. Isaiah West was really impressive, maybe my MVP. I mean, I thought without him, I don't know that they win, Joey. Honestly, I mean, the better reason is because they won is that Manjon got back and hit a shot there. But you said it. Overall, it's not a good result for the net. I mean, Ken Pomeroy rankings come out. I think the new ones come out tomorrow. So they were at, 121. So probably, I mean, this is going to push them back. So, and I tweeted this, Joey, earlier in the week. The margin of victory has to get better. It just does. And because of that Presbyterian loss, your margin for error is gone. So you can't drop one of these that you should win. They were favored by 19.5 tonight. And they win by, 4? Yeah. 75-71. So, like I said, not a good result for the net. Ezra Manjon, huge free throws again. I mean, he comes up big when this team needs him.
He hasn't missed in 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, Joey, he's a shooter. Maybe not shooter, but he's a guy that can hit. I don't think he hit a 3 tonight, but like I said, he was hitting those pull-up jumpers. But this team's got to be more physical, right? And they're not really built for that right now. Down low they're playing with Kamateros and Lang. So, you don't have Dort in there. You don't have Lubin in there. But overall, Joey, they got to be better. They got to be better. They got the win. They called it a gutsy win. At the end of the day, though, they've got to be better because if they keep playing like this, they're not gonna do well in Vegas, and then they're gonna drop some of these to Memphis, Texas Tech, teams like that, San Francisco, Boston College. They need their guys back, but I don't know. And we talked about this in the booth. I don't know how much that's really gonna matter. I mean, obviously, scoring will improve, but defense was too inconsistent tonight overall. So I know that's a lot there, but as a whole, it's weird saying disappointing after a loss, but it was a 4-point win over a team that was 330 in Ken Pomeroy last time we checked. So We did get some updates though from the injured guys. Lee Dort said Stackhouse said Lee Dort will probably get 10 to 12 minutes in Vegas. Said Lubin has been good in practice and he's progressing. But Tyler Lawrence, I thought this was interesting. We might have already known this, but he's the furthest to be back, which I thought was interesting. So that's what I got, Joey. Again, disappointing just because of the margin of victory. And they got to get better. They have to win some of these with a margin of victory. Maybe they do it in Vegas. Who knows? But it's got to be better overall.
I think I want to go back to Ezra Magnon. He made the big 4 free throws at the end. Him being a guy who can take those shots, and you feel confident putting the ball in his hands at the end of the game.
Because it wasn't like that last year.
It wasn't like that last year. Once you get Tyron Lawrence back, Evan Taylor, I think, is going to grow and grow. Colin Smith, I think, can hit shots from the line late in games. You got a really solid lineup of guys who can hit shots, and not to mention Isaiah West coming in and playing much more mature than he actually is in terms of his development. Isaiah West was really good tonight, and I think he was a big story, as well as Evan Taylor, who had 14 points. Stackhouse talked about him, actually answered the question on him, not the next question. He gave some nice insight on Evan Taylor, but Billy, I think it goes back to margin of victory, and it goes back to poor execution. They defended the three-point line not super well today. UNC Greensboro shot 24%, but
Central Arkansas hit some shots.
Yes, 7 of 13 from the line. That's the second game, or from beyond the arc. That's the second game in which Vanderbilt's opponent has shot over 50% from three. Both of those teams were in the bottom half of mid-major leagues, and I can't stress enough, Central Arkansas also didn't have its best player, and I think if it does, I think if Vanderbilt has its 3 guys and Central Arkansas has its 1 guy, then Vandy wins this game by a pretty significant amount. But also, you look at that and you're like, man, what could have been if they had an all-ASUN defensive player and an all-ASUN first-team guy. I think switchability was a big thing for Central Arkansas as Magnon got downhill and kind of took advantage of that. But once Central Arkansas went to the zone, Vanderbilt had some real trouble. I think you see some of the struggles with this team, and you hope Tyron Lawrence and Van Allen Lubin and Lee Dort can maybe make it take a step forward. I think against the zone, you're going to have to see something, though. I'm sure that's something they'll work on throughout the week, but Tyron Lawrence is really the only one who fixes that, because Van Allen Lubin and Lee Dort aren't shooters, aren't guys who really stretch the floor. I think they had some nice sets early against that switchable pick and roll defense, but overall, not a great night for Vanderbilt. And letting Central Arkansas back in the game after being up 16 in the first half, I think says a good amount about this team that you don't really like to see.
Yeah, and Joey, that has happened too much this year. I mean, almost every game. USC Upstate, they had a decent lead. I mean, they didn't really take control of that game, but, they haven't dominated an opponent yet. And, it's happening around the country. We saw Michigan lost today to Long Beach State. I think Arkansas is in trouble against UNC Greensboro right now. So, again, the portal strikes again. It's hard for these teams to build chemistry. So, again, they're not alone, but at the end of the day, Joey, they've got to be better. And what I'm interested in right now at this point is how much of a difference does Tyron Lawrence coming back make? And it might be, later rather than sooner, which is not good news. And then Dort, how much of a presence does he fill? And then Allen Lubin, right? If those 3 guys come back and it's a huge difference, okay, we might forget about a lot of this. But
the metrics won't.
Right, that's the other thing. The metrics will not, because they don't take into account. Maybe end of the season we might look at that, but right now, you've got your team out there, and you got to play with who you have. So, good teams play without their first or second best player, and Vanderbilt really hasn't done that, I think, to its best ability. So, again, it's got to be better, man.
You mentioned Arkansas and Michigan and their struggles throughout the night. My concern with Vanderbilt isn't that it was just tonight. It's that it was all 4 games. Yeah. USC Upstate was at the bottom of the Big South, lost to South Carolina by 30 points. Presbyterian came in on an 18-game D1 losing streak. Central Arkansas was picked last in the league, not by me. I'll preface that. I had them 11th out of 12th in the ASUN when I voted. But point stands, they also didn't have their best player. So you look at that, and obviously the injuries play a part. We're not negating that. I think the injuries play a huge part in this. They don't have a post presence, which I think is why those scoring droughts happen, and sometimes why the opposing runs happen is because they don't have a shot blocker and they don't have a post presence in the game, which I think they'll have. Maybe not to the extent of a Kansas or a team like that, but they'll have it to kind of combat a run a little bit. So I'm not as concerned about that part of teams storming back. I think the offense flowed well at times tonight, but didn't do that consistently. And, I think you just got to look to Vegas and say, you really are putting a lot on Tyron Lawrence. You need 1 win, and you're putting a lot on the 3 guys' shoulders who are returning, which rightly so. Those are 2 or 3 guys who would probably start.
Yeah.
But got to get it done in Vegas. Vanderbilt hasn't to this point. Has an uphill climb, and if it has a rough trip to Vegas, more of an uphill climb. But you got a chance. It's November. We want to preface that.
Yeah.
But also, not good.
Yeah. Lastly here, Joey, I think it's good they've got, 3 or 4 days before they even leave for Vegas. So, they got some time to rest up, get back in the gym and get some work. And like I said, they need at least 1 win. If they can get 2, that'd be massive. And we were talking about it with somebody before the game. Say they do get 2. They play really well in Vegas. A lot of this changes. I mean, that can turn the tide. So we'll see. But like I said, in Vegas, you need a good showing, right? You cannot put up a 0. You cannot go 0-2, because of where you're at, because you lost to Presbyterian, right? If you beat Presbyterian and you beat these teams by a decent margin of victory, then you have a margin for error. But the margin for error is basically gone. So
2 MTE wins cures a lot, and I think that's how you look forward, and you look forward and say, well, if you can go win in Vegas and you can boost your metrics, you can boost your Ken Palm in your net, and you can get 2 quad 1 or quad 2 wins, you got a chance and you got a lot of confidence riding out of Vegas. Right now, I don't know if that's completely the case. There was a lot of dejected looks around the arena tonight and around the bench and in that press conference. For Billy Derrick, I'm Joey Dwyer. Thank you to the Wash House, and we'll see you not in Vegas, but we'll be covering those games, and those are big ones for Vanderbilt. So thank you guys for watching. God bless. Next question.